Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the Crypto Game Snob, and in today's video we are taking a look at what's been selling, what's been going on in the Gods Unchained NFT card space, sorted by highest priced items. Taking a look, we have a Demogorgon that sold for $1,272. I think the Demogorgon is a bit on the rise compared to where we were looking at him a little while ago. Of course, the price of Ethereum, is also on the rise a little bit, so does it have something to do with that? Maybe. Again, it does look like Demogorgon is headed back up, though Apocalypse Now is also back up to its price of around 450, is where we were kind of watching it for a while. Came down to just under 4, and now we're kind of back up in the 450 range, 490, 500. So yeah, we're starting to see some of our cards recover after the bit of the market dip there. Avatar of War, that's an interesting one to see here. Genesis War card, 8/8 Leech, etc., selling for 450. Our Highborn Knights are back up over the $400 range, and they look like they're on the climb as well. I actually have quite a few Highborn Knights selling. That is just a good card. If you like playing light, those Highborn Knights are there, just a powerful card. Magic Missile Launcher, also just a powerful card. If you're into the war god, the god of war, Magic Missile Launcher, awesome stuff. Quite a few of those, actually, Magic Missile Launchers and Highborn Knights, Pyramid Wardens. We see the usual list of suspects here on page 1. Golden Saber and a Golden Shine Polyhymnia. That's kind of cool to see. Let's see, we have Polyhymnia selling for around 300, 370, 230. Not a huge volume of golden Polyhymnias selling, but this card is obviously super duper powerful, usable by any god. I mean, how do you deal with it? Frontline protected ward, armor 4 at the end of your turn. Give ward to this creature. You really have to, be able to pull out all the stops to be able to take that thing down. Very difficult to do. And then if you're playing something like Death, they can just resurrect that and bring that right back if you happen to knock it off the board. That which aches, interesting. And we have some Nefarus back around the $250 mark. Nefaru is such an awesome card. I think this is the most expensive Trial of the Gods, a legendary card. Actually might be the most expensive Trial of the Gods card, period. I think so. And I love Nefaru. I love playing Death, and Nefaru is just such a pleasure to throw down on the card, on the table, especially if you're, at 15 health or left, and she comes back into your hand, you throw her down again. Just is such an amazing board clear over and over. Here's an interesting one. A Diamond Genesis card. Crimson Oni. Deal 5 damage to your god at 4 mana. That is a death card with a lot of power, and if you're looking to get your health down, as Death likes to do for something like, say, Nefaru, that could be an interesting option. Chiron the Teacher back over $200. We had some bargain Chirons actually going on for a while at around 130. But yep, Chiron's back where he was once. He's back there again, just over $200. Selena, Underbrush Boar. I keep watching. I've mentioned this one once or twice, that the Underbrush Boars were looking pretty low, around 120. We're out now approaching $200 on the Underbrush Boar. I was lucky enough to pick up a couple Underbrush Boars back when they were around $30, and I wish I had picked up more than 2. I just love this card so much. I don't think I'd want to play nature without it. Gloam Druids, also very powerful. Some Herticuses, some Master Tacticians in Shadow. Oh, very fancy, very nice. Here's the one I don't see all that much. That's an interesting one. Yeah, Astrea's Envoy. I don't know if I said that right, but there you have it. Tear the Just. Also some Expectant Chickens. Looks like they were selling. Some Hercules and some Ashen Drakes around 100. Archimedes Mira. Now this is one I love. This is such an interesting card that just never sees much play. That being said, it does look like it's getting some price increase here, down to 52. This is such an interesting card. If you guys haven't seen this card, this is so interesting. Any damage taken by this creature is also applied to each enemy creature, right? So any damage taken by this. So basically you can attack with this and wipe your opponent's board that way, or your opponent can, try to clear it with a spell, or, attack you with their creature or whatever. It all just gets reflected back. This is such an interesting board clear that just never gets played. It's such a problem when you throw that on the board, unless your opponent has some sort of transform or something like that, right? Maybe like a poison. It's such an interesting one. Up to 6 damage at 6 mana worth of board clear. Yeah, very, very interesting card that, yeah, basically I never see, but I find very interesting and have shuffled into my deck a few times to interesting results. Gorilla Gardener in gold. That's an interesting choice. 8 mana backline blitz overkill. After this creature destroys an enemy, summon a 1/1 vibrant fruit. So you can imagine just how many vibrant fruits you could be getting on the board with that overkill and blitz and backline. Gorilla Gardener is an interesting one. I've actually been wanting to create a deck using Gorilla Gardener. Nature just doesn't usually get to 8 mana though. Is the thing. Usually nature just wins by 6 or 7 mana, so 8 is kind of not often seen. But that's a cool card. It would just be fun to play. What else have we got here? We got some Orpheos. Sorry, some Orpheos. I'm sorry, Orpheo. I should learn how to say words better. That would just be helpful. Anyway, that's a bit of a look at what's going on. Ancient Text, wow, look at that. Ancient Text is definitely powerful in Tempo Magic meta. It is just really powerful and such a pain in the ass. I mean, it's just one more spell in Magic's hand. And Tempo Magic has so many direct damage clearing spells, and a little bit of spell boost make this just that much more powerful, right? So yeah, Ancient Text, very interesting. Almost $100 for that one mana spell that does 2 damage, or a friendly character comes protected. That's a nice option to have there. Master Tacticians, obviously very powerful, good stuff. Dogs Unchained in Diamond, there's an interesting one. Hippocrates Monster, this is one of my favorite cards in the game, pretty much only for death though. Pretty much, I don't know who else would play this. Actually, it is just death. So yeah, obviously only death would play this since it's locked to the death domain. Duh. But yeah, crazy fun with a death deck, like board wipe death or whatever. Just building up the biggest, strongest, scariest creature with ward that you can pull back with your resurrection spell or something like that if it dies. Hippocrates Monster. You drop that on the board and the game is over, basically, give or take here or there. Actually, I'm mucking around with Laura Grimm right now. Such an interesting one. Hidden for 1 turn, and whenever a spell is cast, give a copy of that to the other player. So this could be a very interesting way to control, say, magic, or control any spell-reliant deck, right? You throw that down, your opponent doesn't want you to get a copy of the spell, and it's hidden for 1 turn and has backline, so you're probably going to get at least a spell out of that, maybe several spells out of that, or control your opponent from casting spells. There's some interesting things about Laura Grimm. I just keep trying to make a good deck out of her. So I don't know, just very interesting. Oh yeah, whole mess of possessive toupees. That's interesting. That's strange. Afterlife. A random enemy creature gets +3/-1, and this afterlife effect. It's so weird. It's such a weird one. It's just so weird. I don't know why people want this. Maybe there's a meta with it that I haven't been up to speed, that I haven't been versed on. Yeah. Anyway, some Null Maws. Those are also very interesting. If you wanna, again, if you're playing Death, right, and you want to do damage to your god and also have big body on the board to help compensate for that damage you're doing while you're trying to get below 15 health. Null Maw, just 7/6. Very interesting. Lots of Null Maws actually selling there. That's curious. All right. Jagstaff in Shadow, Form of Powers. Yep. Man, oh man. Our cards have gone up so much. I remember when this card was worth, peanuts and pennies, 40 cents. Would you even check that out? Form of Power. Here's the interesting thing, right? And this is speculation on future meta. looking at cards which are currently kind of useless, and then something like Tempo Magic comes into play because of all the new Divine Order cards, and suddenly something like Form of Power becomes very good again because Magic wants all of these low mana damage dealing spells or whatever because they get really powerful with a little bit of spell boost. They can also buff up Pillar of the Storms and do other interesting stuff like that. So suddenly all these low mana spells and just like a lot of card draw become really good again, right? So this ridiculously cheap card that was worth nothing for like ages is now worth $40 each, right? So yeah, that's the interesting thing when it comes to, speculating on future cards based on new expansions that come into the game. It's hard to know what's going to come into the game, and so you can never rule out cards that might seem weak or underpowered or whatever. They might become really good with future expansion of cards. That is why I myself personally have purchased at least 20 and sometimes up to 50 or more of some of the really cheap cards that are like 7 cents and stuff like that, right? Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed today's look at the marketplace. I'll see you guys later. See you in the next video. All right.